Welcome to Touro Talks. This is Dr. Alan Kadish, president of Touro University. I'm pleased to be here with you today to hear Dr. Chezi Levy speak about his experience in treating and taking care of hostages who were released as a result of their initial capture by Hamas in the Israel-Hamas war. Dr. Levy is an experienced Israeli medical expert who's also director of the Barzilai hospital in Ashkelon. He spent much of his career dealing with trauma related to wartime. He's trained as a general surgeon. He's been the director of the Israeli Health Ministry and also been the Surgeon General in the Israeli Defense Forces, the Israeli Army. We'll hear from him about his experiences following the attack on October 7th. For those of you who are listening to the audio-only podcast, there's a short video and a slideshow that will accompany Dr. Levy's presentation. By watching on YouTube, you will be able to see the video and slides in addition to hearing the podcast. It's our pleasure to have Dr. Levy here today. Welcome, Dr. Levy.
Thank you for inviting me. And as you said, my lecture speaks about the returns of the hostages, which were captured October the 7th. There were a lot of people who were captured, including children, which were returned after about 50 days. My lecture will speak about the capture, first the adult, and how they returned, part of them after 50 days, part of them in January 25. I'll show what happened. We see a picture of them, and then the physiologic and physical findings and the mental. Then I'll turn to children, and I'll speak about the children who were captured and released. How is the preparedness to accept them? What are the symptoms or the physical implication? What is the mental? And then we see some optimistic pictures before what happened before about 10 days when the last live hostages came back. All the part of the children is with cooperation and knowledge of the Snyder Hospital, which is the biggest children's hospital in Israel, and most of the children returned there and hospitalized there till they released. So the video itself shows a little about the morning of 7 October, the multiple casualties scenario, which was part of this awful day.
Hundreds of missiles and rockets shook the city of Ashkelon and the Barzilai Medical Center in one day. Dozens of casualties arrived at the hospital in a short time, severely injured, victims of anxiety and trauma.
We begin this hour with a Fox News alert. Israel's defense ministry launching retaliatory airstrike attacks against suspected Hamas Islamist targets along the Gaza Strip.
New numbers in just now indicating that at least 40 Israelis are dead, more than 700 wounded, and dozens taken hostage into the Gaza Strip.
תיקח אותי ביד שלך, תחפש את הבן שלי ואת החברה שלו. אין לי לב, אני רוצה לבוא איתך שתיקח אותי. אני לא יכולה באמת לקבל התקף לב.
So this is a picture of the hospital in Ashkelon, Barzilai, which is part of the southern part of Ashkelon. And you see here, this is a hospital which is not fortified. It was built in 61, so it's beautiful but not fortified. This is the southern urban area of Ashkelon. This is a strategic zone with petrol reservoirs, electricity production, desalination of water, and factories that can contain also products with ammonia. And you see here, this is Gaza. So Gaza is about 10 to 12 kilometers, the northern part of Gaza, is 12 to 10 kilometers from the hospital. That's why this hospital is bombed. I'm sorry, it jumps, but this is the part of the bombing from Gaza for about 18 years, and especially in Iron Swords Game. It's a general hospital, that serves 500,000 residents. It's general hospital, including all the things, all the services that provide. And October the 7th, starting at 7 a.m., we started to prepare ourselves and transform our activity from regular time to emergency time, according to long drills and training and methods and standards. And within about 30 minutes, we started to get patients, casualties, which were evacuated to our hospital. And in the first day, we had 370 most seriously wounded and about 100 dead in the first day. This is a unique multi-casualty scenario. And I would say that no hospital in other places had this experience. Just we and Soroka Hospital in Beersheba, which the evacuation from the southern part of Gaza went to them. Let's start with the returnees. This is a picture from a ceremony that has been in Gaza while releasing, for example, 3 hostages. This one his name is Eli Sharabi, which was kidnapped from Be'eri near Gaza. By the way, his wife and his 2 daughters were murdered while he was kidnapped. This one is Ohad Ben Ami, also returned with him. And you can see him before kidnapping and when he returned. This is the third one. You can see him at the left before and in the right after. And this is Eli Sharabi, which was very full guy, you see, and here is when he returned after about 1 and a half year. And these are the ceremonies that took place. And here said that it's a kind of remind us what happened in the Holocaust. And we have to remember in order to have our future in the future. The events of the massacre and kidnapping are unprecedented in modern history. So we don't have enough experience in kidnapping and starvation. And here things were written while we treating, while we monitoring, while we see what happened. There is not enough knowledge and research about that. There are a lot of mental problems and physical problems that are not visible at first. So that's why you see that when accepted them, they were on their legs, walking, hospitalized in big hospitals in the center of Israel, and starting to have tests and examinations and lab tests. And then we started to see the real situation of them. They came very hurt. There were liberation ceremonies amplify the psychological stress of them, and there were thought what to say while they were on the stage in the liberation ceremony. Of course, there was a great interest and great importance to Israel releasing them and having them back. So after the Hamas, everything was planned and was planned very cautiously and sensitively in order not to stress them more than how they are. So after the ceremony, they were transferred to the Red Cross, and from there to IDF forces. We built a special camp, like a home, near the border in Re'im. Re'im, for example, is there are a camp there, but this was near the place of the Nova dancing party, which a lot of the audience there were murdered or captured. So after that, they came with the IDF to the IDF. Before they met anyone, they went under initial examination by Israeli physicians and then transferred to the camp near the fence. So this is the cause of the Red Cross trying to take way in order to reach Re'im, and in these ambulances are the returnees. A lot of people in Gaza, sometimes threatening the people in the cars. Initial meeting was with physicians, social workers, and psychologists, and then starting to meet their families. Only the very, very narrow circle, like father, mother, wife. That's all there. Slowly, slowly, very sensitive. Then bathing, changing clothes, having empathy, hugging, a lot of crying, and prepare them to be flown by helicopters to the medical centers in the middle of Israel. The policy was to fly them to a large hospital in the center, but we prepared also 2 hospitals near the place in the south, Soroka Hospital and Barzilai Hospital, which prepared the same exactly like the 3 centers in the middle of Israel. And this was for purpose of something happens. We didn't know exactly what is their situation, medical situation. And we prepared ourselves to returnees which are in a very serious emergent medical situation, which would be brought to the nearest hospital to treatment. No time to reach the center of Israel. So that's why Barzilai Hospital in the north part of Gaza and Soroka in the south part of Gaza. And we prepared this too because we didn't know sometimes when and where they are going to be released. So that's why we prepared. And then we prepared, of course, the medical centers in the middle of Israel. These are the helicopters. And this helicopter, for example, is coming to the landing lot in Sheba Hospital. And we see them. This is part of preparation of our hospital. And this is the pediatric intensive care unit, which we took all the urgent children and put them in the ward itself, in rooms in the ward, pediatric ward. And we prepared this for treat the returnees if they need to. Isolated, no entry to anybody, only the relevant staff and the family. And you see here the preparations. It's only for a returnee, and we prepared rooms for the family in order to put the family near and close. The part of preparing the hospital, you see in the left, is first of all how to prepare age-specific area, age-specific intensive care if needed, age-specific activities, allowing the staff, only the relevant staff, and point them to be in, because it's so interesting and important that everybody wanted to be inside. No way. Just the relevant stuff, and creating, and we'll see it later, creating all the surrounding like home-like. In order, and it's important, especially in the children, to bring them home, not to bring them to the hospital. So we had a lot of activities and purchasing thing in order to imitate a home surrounding, very empathy surrounding, warm surrounding for the nearest family and for the returnee themselves. And then establishing a support system for them where they are in the hospital, deciding when to discharge them, and then making a supporting system which is going to follow them in the days after discharge and also till now. Here we see the preparation of the staff. It's a multidisciplinary staff which gained knowledge more and more and became expert in all the starvation and the darkness implication that they were in. It's a physical physician, and it's psychologists, diet experts, social workers, pediatric physicians, heart physicians, internal medicine physicians, and everybody is the most senior physicians and expert in their field. See the surrounding, providing sense of nobody could think that this is a hospitalization room for a patient. But all the rooms were like this, and for the family and the returnee himself, when he's staying with the family, This is like a living room at house. And of course, we give them all the things like communication, kitchen, special food, and all the things, and accepting friends and families more and more as days pass. And in order to bring them gradually to life again, and to family again, to friends, and most important, what to eat and when to eat. Somebody wants now pizza, and they want it. Can we give him pizza? Someone wants hamburger and fries. Can he get it now? We want to make for him everything in the world. But is it good after 1.5 years of starvation? We'll speak about it. The reception area in the emergency room of a special ward, carefully prepared, as I told you, while maintaining strict privacy. It was an enormous public interest, media, friends, visitors, etc. So we managed delicately, privately, and gradually meetings. Everything was according to the will of the returnee and the will of his family, not pressuring, and let him set the pace of recovery, of coming back to society. And it was really very sensitive. Part of them, since October the 7th, were alone. No speaking, no social interaction. In the caves, in the tunnels, chains in the legs. So they won't run away. I don't know where to run away, but not run away. So it was very, very sensitive and gradually, step by step, returning back. They were hospitalized in a sterile compound. No one enters, not only because of mental implication, but also we know and we saw that the immune system of them is so diminished. So we were afraid they're going to get some sepsis or infections. So that's why it was a kind of sterile. The meetings were very emotional. Those who sat at home, mostly all of Israel, and saw it in TV, stood in living rooms crying and crying. Even us, the adult experienced people. So privacy, confidentially, and only near family. Everything was coordinated and has been done by coordination and control of the Ministry of Health, which was responsible for all this project. And the second power was the army and security forces. Of course, as I said, it's a multi-professional event. Immediate initial examinations to rule out medical condition that requires immediate intervention. Documented and collecting forensic evidence. We took photos and documented precisely all the forensic examinations and facts that can help in understanding what happened to them. Nutritional assessment was crucial and very important by nutrition experts. And what is the nutritional status and its implication, and how to start feed them with no harm. We took range of a lot of tests for infectious diseases, immune system, and biochemistry and vitamins in order to see all the implications and shortage of things which are critical for recovery. And of course, one of the most important things were psychological and psychiatric evaluation. Main medical problems we see, and then later we see it in children. acute malnutrition, loss of about 30, 40, or 50% of body weight. Acute vitamin deficiency, vitamin D for the skeleton, bones, vitamin B12, at all the consequences for the body and for the health. Hormonal disorders, electrolyte disorders. As I said, careful, gradual, and controlled nutrition. Personal menu, at caution against breastfeeding syndrome, which might be very dangerous. And by the way, in the last release, now in October, Israel asked the Red Cross to ask Hamas not to refeed them abruptly. They wanted to refeed them so in the media they can be seen less sick, less weak, and in good feeding position. But we know that it is very dangerous. That's why we ask them to ask Hamas not to feed them abruptly. There is a lack of exposure to light. So the implications for the eyes and the skeleton were very serious. And we saw untreated infectious diseases. And we spoke about the adults with chronic comorbidities which were not treated properly, like heart, lung, diabetes, blood pressure, renal diseases, and it was one of our concerns. There were severe injuries from the capturing in 7 October. So they were not treated well, and we had to take care, and at least, but not last, several severe mental problems, anxiety, post-trauma, depression, mourning for murdered relatives when they heard what happened to them, and they didn't know till they were told in the Israeli army camp, and difficulty in adapting and returning to life. So I want to run to the key to the children, but mainly it was about 3 to 4 days of hospitalization and gradually returning to feeding and family and friends, and then going out with accompanying nurses, psychological and social worker that follow them in another place which was much more free to start rehabilitation, included accessory that are required. Now let's go to the children. Preparing for children returning from captivity is very challenging. Also, we don't know enough, and there's no enough literature to tell it, and all is based upon experience which was gained sometimes online. And there are a lot of approaches which are required. So there were 26 returnees to Schneider, between them 11 children, 8 adolescents and 7 adults. So children and adolescents were the same problems and the same attitude. They were hospitalized in dedicated wards. I showed you the wards, with 2 pre-assigned rooms per family and equipment. They've got new clothes, new products, and multidisciplinary team was established along to the preparedness that I show you in order to accept them. During admission to the unit, women and children from the same family unit were accommodated in the same place and in the same room, immediately to give empathy and home feeling. All went through medical evaluation, which included formulated medical admission questionnaire, basic physical examination, blood tests, stool tests, and urine test. All had psychological evaluation and social team assessment in order to define what is the situation and what kind of treatment and mental treatment they need in the acute phase, and started to think about rehabilitation after. So, the most common clinical findings upon return, I'll go to that. Significant weight loss, psychological trauma, complications of poor hygiene, and complications of recent shrapnel injuries and injuries from the capture time in October 7. Microbiology tests were positive for multiple gastrointestinal pathogens. Serologic screening tests were positive for various infectious diseases. What about gastrointestinal implications? Prolonged constipation was reported in 10 patients, diarrhea during captivity period, and infectious pathogens isolated in the patient's stool sample. About nutritional status, uniformly very poor. Significant weight loss was recorded in 15 out of 26 individuals. As I told you, 30 to 40% of the body weight. Most hostages reported limited food supply based mainly on glucose. I mean, mainly of carbohydrates like pita, which is bread, sometimes 1 spoon of pasta, no water enough, most of the time, no meat, no proteins, nothing. Diet was rice and white bread best. That's all. When they got it. Low quality of ingredients and minimal or no intake of vegetables, protein, and fat. So significant weight loss noted in all adult women, 8 children, age 8 to 18, and this weight loss was about a lot of body weight. What about hygiene? All 26 patients reported poor sanitation and low hygiene conditions. So they were kept underground for most of the duration of the captivity, and the majority of patients reported restricted access to running water, to, I would say, restroom, but most of the time they dig holes and did all the things there with no water. Severe head lice infestation was apparent, and they have to be treated. About dermatology, 6 patients presented with multiple insect bites and diffuse skin irritation. Trauma. Out of the 26 patients, 14 individuals sustained major trauma from the day of capturing. And I won't enter to these details, but there were things, and then sometimes they didn't or haven't been treated well. There were some testimonies of being treated even with no anesthesia. About psychological trauma, all patients were forcefully taken from their homes. Of 26 patients, 24 patients witnessed the murder of kidnapping of other family members. When he spoke about Eli Shoabi, how do you tell him when he just came to the camp that his wife and 2 beloved daughters are not with him? He is stand alone. His brother was murdered in the capturing. I have to run. We don't have enough time. So they all reported psychological terror with different psychological warfare strategies, abuse And this was and is yet now a big challenge to treat them psychologically. So if I want to sum it up, there is preparing for children returning from captivity is very challenging, requires different approaches for children, adolescents, and adults, and a multidisciplinary team. Prepare for the returnees a home-like environment. Preliminary acclimation and satisfaction from the hostages. Graduality, empathy, slowly. And our experience could serve a lot of the world, although I hope they won't need it. Some pictures. This is the returns in January. The first meeting with families or in the helicopter in the way to the hospital. Here is the square that we called it the Kitten Up Square in Tel Aviv, where all the demonstrations took place 2 years. And now is the day when our leaders signed the peace treaty, and this is the joyness of the people, thousands and thousands of people gathered there, and what is written here in Hebrew, I'll show you. It was a dream. It's written here. The 20 live kidnapped are here in Israel. President Trump came to Israel and had speaking with the Knesset, the government, and the parliament members of Israel. After 2 years, there are no live hostages in Gaza. It was a dream for us. This is pictures on the way to the hospital. We are home. And all 20 released hostages have arrived to Israel. There's nothing like a mother's love. And then one of the hostages gave a big hug to his mother, which fought 2 years for his return. These are the wife and the father, 80-year age of this Mimran. Families and a father give hug to his kid, which was 2 years younger when he left him. So maybe it's return of humanity. Maybe it's return of hope. God bless Israel. God bless America. And let's hope we will continue to build a better future together with no war, no hostages.
Thank you very much, Dr. Levy. That was a fantastic presentation of an extremely unique experience, which, as you say, we hope will not reach again. Thank you to our Touro Talks sponsors, Robert and Arlene Rosenberg, and to our audience for joining the Touro Talks conversation. Have a good day.